What's happening, awesome people? Welcome back to my channel. Joshua Partugi here. I hope you are well and having a great week so far. So folks, I've been getting questions from people whether they can use Scrum without having certain Scrum elements in place. And along that line, they also asked me whether they can be agile without using Scrum as a whole. When I listen to these types of questions closely, oftentimes they are implicitly saying that implementing Scrum as a whole in their company is quite challenging. And they would like to know whether there is a less challenging approach to be agile other than using Scrum as a whole. In short, when we aren't using Scrum as a whole, we are not using Scrum at all. Just like when we cannot say we are playing football or soccer, for our American viewers out there, when there are only 5 players playing on a 25 by 60 meters hardcourt indoor field. That game is called futsal. But our goal here is not to comply to Scrum by the book. Our goal here is to create an empowering work environment where people can thrive in delivering valuable products that will make our customers more awesome. Now, Scrum provides a frame to achieve our goal early and often. And the Scrum Guide gives us some guidance on what's needed in Scrum. However, just knowing Scrum according to the guide won't guarantee that we will be agile. Just like knowing the rules of chess won't guarantee we will win every match. Becoming more agile starts with the right attitudes and the right behaviors. Behaviors are manifested from the values people value. When we want to start using Scrum in our company, we can start with some of the Scrum elements in place. Initially, though, it may not be called Scrum because some Scrum elements are still missing. We can incrementally add Scrum elements along the way as we see opportunities in the company. Just like when you first tried cooking your favorite food based on the recipe you found on the internet. You may skip using some ingredients because you don't have all of the ingredients in your pantry at that time. You may also skip a few cooking techniques because you may find at that time doing those cooking techniques are still too difficult. As you taste your own cooking more often, you may incrementally improve your cooking techniques and probably add more gourmet ingredients into your food. When I'm invited into a company and the team or the group of people have already shown certain reactions when they first hear the word Scrum being mentioned, but yet they acknowledge that they need to be agile, I will focus more on embedding values and principles needed to be agile rather than coercing them to do Scrum. Agile, according to the Agile Manifesto, consists of 4 values and 12 principles. Interestingly enough, these agile values and principles are too software-centric, which oftentimes makes it hard for me to engage others from the non-software departments in the company to also be agile. Over time, I have experimented and I have found starting from the Scrum values is quite effective as it's quite simple as there are only 5 values and these values are not too software centric and I can adapt it to each department context and needs. So as you can see, here are the Scrum values. Many of you may already know it. During the pandemic, because many people are working from home, I used tools like Miro to explain these values along with its sample behaviors to everyone who attended the virtual session. You will see later on this video, tools like Miro become useful for me when explaining the values and doing the follow-up exercise. But you don't have to use Miro for doing this exercise. Other similar tools like Mural will also help you achieve the objective. So first, I touched the value commitment, as every culture has different meanings about commitment. In some cultures, commitment is often imposed by someone else outside of the team upon the team. In some cultures, the people doing the work must commit to the Project Iron Triangle defined by the people who are not doing the work. Imposing a plan to people without collaborating with them in creating those plans is not very agile, because people will be less likely to take ownership of the whole delivery process. When people don't take ownership, they will be less likely to self-manage. A self-managing group of people is more agile than a group of people who is not. All departments in the company need to be agile so the whole company can be agile. Therefore, we need to commit to collaborate with everyone in the company. We should not put any silos with other departments. There shouldn't be us versus them. We are all in this together. There should not be any competitions between departments over suboptimal key performance indicators or KPI. People in the company commit to help each other so that nothing will impede them from delivering value frequently to their customers. To be agile, we need to be able to dance in unpredictabilities because failure is expected. Even though failure is expected, everyone is committed to do their best and committed to learn and improve continuously. People shall commit to be professional, saying it like it is, not sugarcoating any information, just to make the decision makers in the company hear what they want to hear. If something is not doable, people should say it's not doable. When we sugarcoat information, we may be moving to the wrong direction. People in the company should have pride in what they do because people commit to technical excellence. People shall commit to say no to adding technical debts into the product and commit to say no to cutting corners. We do not want to end up like companies who earn a bad reputation in the market for cutting corners. To be agile, everyone in the company is committed to deliver value to the customers rather than committing to the Project Iron Triangle. I would then continue to explain that courage is required for the company to be agile. People should have the courage to be honest and transparent. I've seen many people in the company cover things up and add buffers to the estimates just to save their position in the company. People cover things up and game the estimates because some decision makers in the company cannot accept unpredictability and cannot accept missed estimates from their people. There is no psychological safety in the company, and this is not agile at all. To be agile, the decision makers need to have the courage to accept unpredictabilities and stop being a leader who serves the people in the company so people are not afraid to be transparent. People need to have the courage to say no when necessary. People should also have the courage to stand up for quality. Everyone should also have the courage to speak up when there are people who cut quality. This is not an easy thing to do, especially in a culture where people are too afraid of conflict. I explain to people that conflict can be seen as a good thing. Just because there is no conflict in the company, it doesn't necessarily mean everything is doing well in the company. Maybe there isn't any conflict in the company because there is apathy. To be agile, people should also have the courage to ask for help. This may also look simple, but I've seen in some cultures where people are afraid to ask for help because they will be seen as incapable and their annual performance appraisal may be affected. To be agile, creativity and innovation should be emphasized. To innovate, we need slack time. We cannot be agile when people are fully utilized to 100% and always busy. To innovate, people should also have the courage to experiment. Many companies become irrelevant because they don't continuously innovate. People should also have the courage to speak up when the company is moving in the wrong direction. To be agile, people need to have the courage to challenge the status quo. People should also have the courage to challenge their own assumptions. This is not an easy thing to do, especially in a company who has the misbelief that with detailed research and planning, they can freeze the future. To be agile, people need to stay focused on the product vision and the product goal. People cannot be focused when they are multitasking on multiple products within the same period. There is a school of thoughts that when people are multitasking on multiple products, people will get more things done. Gerald Weinberg, a well-respected consultant in the software industry, wrote in his book how multitasking on multiple products actually slows down the flow of value delivery. To be agile, we need to start focusing on getting feedback early and often. I've seen how people in the company avoid getting frequent feedback because they believe that feedback will cause the scope creep. In fact, they will blame their customers when their customers change their mind. That's quite unfortunate because feedback improves understanding. Feedback is valuable, therefore it should be welcomed rather than avoided. Feedback is gained from delivering releasable or usable products early and often. Even though there have been many talks in the industry on continuous delivery, a lot of teams are still struggling to deliver releasable products early and often. For people to be able to deliver value early and often, we need to focus on optimizing the flow of value. To be agile, everyone in the company needs to focus on generating actionable items in every group discussion and not leaving any waste. I've been into a company which has the culture where the outcome of every meeting is to schedule a follow-up meeting because people strive for perfection as they are too afraid to be blamed or punished if something wrong ever happens in the future. We cannot be agile when we spend too much time fortune telling or gold plating. People should focus on the simplest solution that works today. Striving for simplicity is hard. Even Einstein said this. Agility starts with the art of possible, which means we can start with where we are right now, with what we have right now, even though it's imperfect. We do not have to wait to be perfect to start our journey to be agile. To be agile, we need to focus on making people awesome. Because at the end of the day, it's people who will be using the tools and running the process. A lot of improvements that will make our company more agile starts with opening up our mind. We need to be open to try out new ideas that may look revolutionary. For example, test-driven development, mob programming, lean user experience, and so much more. A lot of people are not open with these practices. Trying out these revolutionary ideas may be uncomfortable at first, as it requires a learning curve and that may reduce the amount of features delivered at certain period. But trying out these revolutionary ideas should be seen as an investment that will improve the company's agility in the long run. On the other hand, people should also be open to drop any practices in the whole value stream that creates waste. Some companies will never be agile unless they reduce waste from their current value stream. People should also be open about any technical debt in the product to the decision makers and have the courage to pay it as early as possible. The decision maker should be supportive and provide time for people to pay the technical debt in the product. People should be open about their incapability so that the decision makers know which individuals need to be trained or mentored. People should be open about their mistakes and failures. In some companies, mistakes and failures are seen as an opportunity for blaming someone. For the company to be agile, mistakes and failures should be seen as an opportunity for learning. People should be open about their progress towards the product goal and be open to adapt their plan when things change in the market. We cannot be agile when both the scope and the timeline is locked. Being relevant is more important than sticking to the initial plan that may make the company irrelevant in the market. Decision makers should be open to negotiate the scope or the timeline. Everyone in the company should also be open to enter difficult conversations and be open to receive feedback. This is for the greater good. And lastly, Agile is not only about opening up our mind, but it's also about opening up our heart and be humble. We should acknowledge that our intelligence is so limited to predict the fuzzy and ambiguous future. Our past success should not be seen as a guarantee for future success. Without humility, our company cannot be agile. And lastly, I explained to everyone that respect is a very important value to be agile. Because without respect, any agile practices people will do in the company are just going to be dry and soulless. People will just do things in motion. Barry Overeem and Christian Verwijs have a term for this. They called it as the zombie scrum. And in fact, they wrote a book about the zombie scrum. If you haven't purchased and read their book, I suggest you go buy it now, folks. To be agile, we must respect the group's decision and not override it too easily with political power. People will not have ownership with the product and with the process when their collective intelligence is overridden too easily with political power. I've seen how companies who said they're agile quite often override the product owner's decision too easily with political power. No wonder many product owners in these kind of companies are not the owner of the product and only proxies. Respect towards people is essential so that everyone has the courage to be open. We should also respect those who are honest and transparent about their failures rather than punishing, blaming, or even bullying them. To be agile, we should respect failures and promote the culture of celebrating failures. No two people in the company are the same. Therefore, we should respect diversity, different opinions, people's backgrounds and experience, and how they acquire those experiences. We should also respect the challenge people are currently facing right now. Everyone has their own struggle in life. There are still many companies who said they're agile but still view and treat people as resources. People are not resources. People are human, and we should respect people's needs to be human at work. I have seen how people need to be someone else and put a mask on whenever they enter the workplace because some other people expect them to be someone they're not. People should be their whole self when they enter the workplace. We should also respect each other's learning style and learning speed, as each person learns and acquires skills and knowledge differently. Some people are text learners, some people are visual learners, some people are kinetic learners, some people are auditory learners and prefer to learn by listening to podcasts. Working in a tight collaboration that is promoted in the Agile Manifesto is a good thing. But sometimes, when there isn't any balance where people cannot have their own space, that tight collaboration can be counterproductive. Because of this, we should respect that at certain times people need to have a space on their own. For example, we should respect when at certain times people do not want to do pair programming. I've been into a company where pair programming is mandatory for everyone. You may disagree with me on this one, but I personally think that's not agile. After I explain to everyone some of the expected behaviors from each value, I will ask them to vote for two values that need to be valued even more in the company right now. Since I use tools like Miro to do this exercise, it's quite easy to set up the voting exercise. And by the way, folks, if you are interested in this Miro template, I have uploaded it to my GitHub account. The address is as you can see on the screen right now, or you can just go to the description section from the YouTube page of this video and you can go click it from there. Once you have downloaded this Miro template from my GitHub page, you need to re-upload it back to your Miro account. Go try out this exercise in your own company. I've done this exercise multiple times using Miro during the pandemic whenever I'm asked to initiate agility in large corporations. I have facilitated this exercise virtually last year with hundreds of people from middle management who work in a large telecom group company in Southeast Asia. Many of the participants are not from technology or software development division, and the feedback they gave me was this exercise resonates quite well and triggers a really healthy conversation, even after the workshop was done. After everyone had voted, I dragged the icon of the top two values that were voted by everyone who attended the workshop to the next box, as you can see on the screen right now. Now, on the next exercise, I asked everyone to write down on several sticky notes some of the events where these two values were not valued or were not respected highly enough. The purpose is not to blame anyone, but to learn to change our reactions or behaviors when similar events occur again in the future. We blame the situation rather than the person or the individual. It's up to you how long you want to time box this exercise. When the time box ends, I ask everyone to write down the metrics that can be used as indicators that the company's state of agility is improving and the company is heading towards the right direction to become agile. You can see some of the examples of the metrics on the screen right now. Just in case some people in your company may not know how to measure the state of agility from change of behaviors. And folks, feel free to expand it from the list I have given you here. For some of you, these metrics are quite obvious. You've seen it before. But if you haven't heard some of these metrics or you want me to show you some more examples of the metrics on how to measure the company's state of agility, leave a comment down below. And if there are any interest from you, the viewers of my channel, I will make a video in the future on how to measure your company's state of agility. Now, what's most important is the cadence for inspecting these metrics. I personally want the cadence for inspecting these metrics to be 1 month or less, as doing so keeps up the momentum and keeps everyone stay focused, which is one of the values needed to be agile. These metrics are not only inspected once, but regularly according to the cadence everyone has agreed. When the whole company is inspecting and adapting based on these metrics and the change of behaviors of the people in the company regularly, continuous improvement becomes the company's habit. Agile will be emergent and evolve in the company rather than coerced. So folks, I also need to tell you that there is a caveat when facilitating this exercise. Some teams or some groups will think that these values and the whole explanation about the behaviors are still too fuzzy and abstract. This kind of thing might happen, and you should be ready to be criticized. We should respect their critiques to demonstrate the value respect. Each individuals learn differently. Some people may prefer to actually learn by doing, or sometimes copying practical examples rather than self-discovering their own agile practices. Some teams will just complain to you when you use the coaching stance and prefer you to use the mentoring stance or the teaching stance. When you're getting these kind of complaints, this is a good opportunity for you to pull out the Scrum Guide from under your belt and start showing how each element in Scrum is related to the Scrum values. So, around 3 years ago, when I went to Japan and read about Zen Buddhism, I was really inspired by the values and the principles behind it and how it can make my life much better. But I will not get much benefit from Zen just by reading the philosophies only. I need to start practicing it. And to know how to practice Zen properly according to the values and the principles so that I can get maximum benefit from it, I need to learn from a Zen master. The Scrum Master is like the Zen master. On the other spectrum, in some companies with many creative and critical thinkers, people in the company will see these values you have just explained are just common sense. In these kind of companies, it's not uncommon to see the Scrum elements emerge and being added incrementally throughout the whole transformation process. In fact, it's also not uncommon to see other agile complementary practices like Kanban or DevOps or Lean User Experience being added incrementally from time to time by the people in the company. It's also common to see people in these companies to discover their own approach and practices to be agile, and the end result may not necessarily look like Scrum at all. When I know people are courageous to challenge the status quo and humble to acknowledge that there is still room for improvements, I'm more than happy, folks. So, folks, this is just one of the approaches to introduce agility using the Scrum values to our company. Go try it out and let me know how it works in your company. Some companies may end up with Scrum according to the Scrum Guide. Some companies may end up with another approach to be agile during their journey. There may be many possibilities where this will end up when you start with the Scrum values. And you need to be prepared for whatever may happen. Your mastery in dancing within unpredictability is going to be tested. As you can see, there is value in the Scrum values. That is all from me today, folks. If you found value in this video, don't forget to smash that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that you will not miss any videos I will upload in the future. See you until my next video. Until then, don't forget to stay awesome.